A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kailash. I am today's host for this guest lecture. It gives me immense pleasure to extend to you every warm welcome on the behalf of Hutatma Rajguru Shikshan Prasarak Mandal, Sir Senapati Hambirrao Mohiti Law College, Rajguru Nagar, Pune. Dear friend, this knowledge sharing platform has clubbed us on a national level lecture series, and today's topic is National Green Tribunal Act 2010, that is we call NGT proceeding, is organized by IQC department with the Association of Criminal Law Justice System of SHM Law College, Rajguru Nagar, Pune. I welcome Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Suresh Rajurkar sir, Registrar of National Green Tribunal, Pune. I would like to also welcome our principal, Dr. Kiran Shinde sir. I would like to also welcome Professor Garud sir, Professor Nilima Patil madam, Professor Rani Chauhan madam, Professor Kishore sir, Professor Gauri Deshmukh madam, and all my respected professor. I would like to also welcome Shevale sir and Kale sir, our non-academic staff, and also welcome all my dear friends and the students of SSM Law College. Now I would like to call Sonal Sanbor for the introduction of today's distinguished guest, Mr. Suresh Rajurkar sir. Over to you, Sonal, for the introduction of today's eminent guest, Rajurkar sir.
Yes, thank you, Kailas. Good morning.
Yes, Sonal, please go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon, all my friends. Today's our honorable chief guest is Suresh Nanaji Rajurkar, Registrar, NGT WZB Pune. He done his graduation in LLB 5 year from Rashtrasant Tukadoji Maharaj University in Nagpur. He worked as an advocate in district and taluka court at Chandrapur and Rajura district Chandrapur. He joined Maharashtra Judicial Service as civil judge, junior division and judicial magistrate first class on 5 January 2000. He promoted as civil judge, senior division and additional chief judicial magistrate on 15 October 2008. He worked as commissioner for workmen compensations and judge of small causes court. He worked as deputy registrar personnel at Bombay High Court from 2012 to 2014. He worked as security district legal service authority Wardha and Yavatmal. He promoted as district and additional sessions judge on 5 March 2018. He appointed as registrar in National Grain Tribunal WZB Pune WEF 11 December 2019. Thank you, Kailas. You go ahead.
Thank you, Sonal, for the introduction of today's our guest. Because we are waiting to listen from sir, so I will not take much time. So now I would like to call and request Mr. Suresh Rajurkar sir to guide us and nurture us on the today's topic, that is national on today's topic. So I would like to call sir. So Mr. Rajurkar sir, please take a session ahead and guide us on the National Green Tribunal Act.
Thank you, sir. May I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Please go ahead.
Hello. Okay.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Brief introduction. Okay. Thank you. So, very good afternoon and warm welcome to each one on this seminar. That is the subject for which we have chosen for today's session. That is the National Green Tribunal Act 2010 and its procedure. Right? So,
yes, sir.
Respected principal of Sir Senapati Hambirrao Mohiti Law College, Pune, Sri Shinde sir, all respected learned professors, and my dear students, brothers and sisters. So, as our sir says that without wasting much more valuable time of you people, I will directly come to the topic which we'll discuss on today's subject. So, the word National Green Tribunal itself demonstrates what is green. Green relates to environment, as you know. So, the act totally relates to environmental issues. Whenever the question of causing harm to an environment arose, then the NGT plays most important role. However, it has its own limitation because for that purpose, the aggrieved person or the injured person needs to approach before the tribunal in accordance with the procedure prescribed by the NGT Acts and rules. So, before discussing on the above subject, we have to see what is the motto of NGT. The motto of NGT is nothing but the environment protection and conservation of forest. The NGT comes under the MOE, that is Ministry of Environment and Forest Department. So our NGT's motto is based on two topics, that is environment protection and conservation of forest. So earlier, the jurisdiction of such type of issues were dealt with civil court. We say civil judge unit division or civil judge senior division, or sometimes the parties may go directly to the Honorable High Court. Prior to enactment of National Green Tribunal Act 2010, there was National Environmental Act 1935 was there, and at the same time, National Environmental Appellate Authority Act 1997 was there. And under that authority, the whatever issues arises regarding environmental, then that authority will deal with such issues. The Environmental Authority Act 2010 came to be instituted because the very purpose behind the same is to speedy justice. Because if the matter goes to the civil court, everyone knows how much time you will get to decide or dispose of those matters. So only looking to the nature of the matter and to decide on an early stage, the National Criminal Tribunal 2008 2010 came to be enforced. Because we know that justice delayed, justice denied. So on the same principle, this National Green Tribunal Act came to be instituted or enforced. As you know that, as earlier I have told that the before the enforcement of this act, the matter were lies with the civil code. So the question of jurisdiction plays an important role. What was the provision earlier to the enforcement of this act? Because if we peruse section 9 of the Code of Civil Procedure, then it has been mentioned that civil court has right to decide all types of civil nature dispute. So jurisdiction has been given. There are three types of jurisdiction, as you know. That one is the territorial jurisdiction, another one is pecuniary jurisdiction, and third one is inherent jurisdiction. So territorial and pecuniary jurisdiction, everyone knows in what respect it has been mentioned, what is meant by pecuniary and what is meant by territorial. So far as inherent jurisdiction is concerned, there are two types. One is the express bar and another is implied bar. So far as the express bar is concerned, if the act, specific act or special statute expressly bar the jurisdiction of the civil court, then it can be said that it is an expressly barred. For example, we may take the example of Maharashtra Land Revenue Code. Then in Maharashtra Land Revenue Code, there is one provision, and by that provision, the jurisdiction of the civil court has been specifically barred. So in that circumstances, we may say that the jurisdiction of the civil court has been expressly barred. So far as implied bar is concerned, we can say that in specific statute or special statute, the provision has been mentioned how the matter has to be dealt with or how we have to proceed further as per that act before the another authority. Though it has not been specifically barred the jurisdiction of the civil court, but by this in the special act it has been mentioned in what manner we have to go and before whom we have to file the proceeding. Then we can say that the jurisdiction of the civil code is impliedly barred. If we take the example regarding land acquisition cases, so land acquisition cases, if the party wants to challenge any provision or any act initiated by the concerned authority, acquiring authority, and if the party wants to challenge that the whatever action initiated by the authority is not proper or is not in accordance with law, then that party has no right to file the proceeding before the civil court. He has to go to the Honorable High Court. Why? Because there is a judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court in that regard, and as per that judgment, the jurisdiction of the civil court has been impliedly barred. Because if there is no provision in the act or statute itself, and if any law came on that issue, then that law becomes a law of the land, and therefore the jurisdiction of the civil court, so far as the example as I already stated, then jurisdiction of the civil court has been impliedly barred. Here, in the present case, so far as the National Green Tribunal Act 2010 is concerned, one provision has been mentioned, that is section 29. As per section 29, the jurisdiction of the court has been specifically barred. So, after enactment of Green Tribunal Act 2010, if any dispute arises regarding environmental issue, then the parties or aggrieved person has to apply before the National Green Tribunal. Now, before there too, certain provisions has been given in the National Green Tribunal Act that is relates to establishment of the courts, powers of the courts, who can be appointed as a judge to decide those disputes, what are their salaries, how they will function. So, as you know that in India, head of the National Green Tribunal is at Delhi, that is called as principal bench. The chairperson is the head. Chairperson, who is the chairperson? The judge of the Honorable Supreme Court or retired judge of the Honorable Supreme Court or retired Chief Justice of any High Court can become a judge, can become a chairperson of the National Green Tribunal Act. So head of the office of National Green Tribunal is at New Delhi, and 4 benches are there. That is, one is at Pune, second one is at Kolkata, third one Bhopal, and fourth one is Chennai. So far as Pune is concerned, the jurisdiction of Pune is entire Maharashtra state, including entire Gujarat state and Goa. So Pune represented 3 states, that is Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Goa. So far as the jurisdiction in respect of jurisdiction of the National Green Tribunal Act or any dispute arises regarding the environmental issue. So, so far as the judicial member is concerned, any sitting High Court judge or any retired High Court judge may be a judicial member. And so far as the expert member is concerned, he should be expert in the particular field, that is environment or forest department, like a secretariat of the government of India. He may be sitting expert member in the National Green Tribunal. So here at Pune, we have one bench, that is one is the judicial member and another is the expert member. So this area is covered Western Zone, therefore it has been called as NGT, National Green Tribunal Western Zone Bench, WZB, that is Western Zone Bench, Pune. So far as we are least concerned about the salaries of the Honorable Lordships or Honorable Judicial Member and expert member. Directly, what we are concerned regarding the matters or dispute arises out of environmental or forest areas. So section 14, 15, 16 and 18 are most relevant section so far as our today's seminar is concerned. Section 14 relates to the tribunal to shall settle the dispute. As per section 14, the tribunal shall have jurisdiction over all civil cases where a substantial question relating to environmental is involved, and such question arises out of the implementation of the enactment specified in the Schedule 1. So, as per that section, if any environmental question or any environmental issue arises, then the aggrieved person may apply before the National Green Tribunal Act under Section 14. For that purpose, he has to apply before this forum within a 6 months from the date of first cause of action arose. Please remember, from the date of first cause of action arose, he has to apply before the National Green Tribunal within a 6 months. The proviso is also there. As per that proviso, if the party could not file the application within a 6 months, then he may grant further time by next 60 days, that is 2 months, to file the proceeding. However, he has to show the reason why earlier within a 6 months he failed to file the proceeding. So this section 14 is very, very important regarding the initiation of action against the person who has involved, who has against the person who fails to act in accordance with law. So far as section 15 is concerned, section 15 relates to relief as well as compensation and restitution. If the aggrieved person wants any compensation due to any act of the opponent, then he may file the application under section 15. At the same time, he may seek the relief for restitution of particular thing. Suppose by way of any act committed by the opponent, then the person who is aggrieved has right to seek the relief for restitution of the earlier position. So far section 15 is concerned, it has given a time limit of 5 years from the date of first cause of action. So within 5 years, he may apply before the Honorable Green Tribunal. Section 16, if we dealt with section 16, then section 16 deals with right of appeal to file before the Green Tribunal. So there are now two things are there. One is, first, if the aggrieved person can approach before the court or tribunal within a 6 months or within a 5 years, as mentioned in section 14 and 15, if they are aggrieved, yes, one thing that is called as original application. At the same time, the parties have right to approach before the tribunal by way of appeal. Is appeal also appeal under what provision they have to file appeal? Then against whom? So if we peruse section 16 of the Green Tribunal Act, it has been mentioned 7 things are there, or 7 topics are there against whom, if he is aggrieved, then he may prefer the appeal. One is the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. If any order passed by the concerned government authority under the above said Water Pollution Act, and if the parties aggrieved by the order passed by concerned authority, then he may file appeal before the NGT under section 16. Second thing, if air pollution, if there is any order passed by the concerned authority under Air Pollution Act, and if the parties aggrieved, he may approach before the NGT. Same regarding the Forest Conservation Act, Environment Protection Act, Public Liability Insurance and Biological Diversity Act. So 7 acts are there. If as per that act, any order passed by the concerned authority and the person who is aggrieved of the order passed by that concerned authority, then he has right to approach before the NGT by way of appeal, which is mentioned in section 16 of the Act. As I earlier stated that section 18 is also mentioned. Section 18 is relates to procedure, how the application is to be filed and who has to file the application. As per section 18 subsection 2, it has been mentioned that the person who has sustained injury, any act committed by the wrongdoer, and if the injury is caused to the person, then that person can approach before the NJT. Second, the owner of the property to which a damage has been caused. If any damage has been caused to the property of the owner, then that owner has right to approach before the NJT under section 18. Third one is where the death has been resulted from the environmental damages. Now, before 3 to 4 days, I think you very well know one instance has been arose at Pune. There was some shops or some factory has been burned, and there was a death of 19 women, I think so. So, in that regard, if the death is resulted from the environmental damages caused, then the legal representative of that deceased person may approach before the National Green Tribunal. At the same time, any agent authorized by that aggrieved person, that is, we may say that advocate, or also can also approach before the NJT on behalf of that aggrieved person or injured person. And aggrieved person, obviously, aggrieved person can, including representative body, may approach before this forum to get redressal regarding their issues. One important thing is that if we peruse the rules of the above said National Green Tribunal rules, one important thing is that whenever the party wants urgent relief, then there is no need to file separate application to that effect. Generally, what happens when we approach before the civil court, then we have to file the suit in the form of suit. Along with the suit, we have to file the application for urgent relief. Normally, we say section 5 under the civil procedure section 5, urgent relief. So that application does not require so far as the NJT Act is concerned, because in the main application we may seek the urgent relief. There is no need to file separate application. So this is most advantageous to the aggrieved person, so that he could get relief on urgent basis. Second thing is that when we are saying that when we are talking about our life, which is envisaged under Article 21 of the Constitution of India, what Article 21 says that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. So, what is meant by then life? Life means right to live with human dignity and decency. What does it mean? Life means to live with human dignity and decency. So, when we are talking about life, then we have right to get free environment, because otherwise our right will be violated, which is given by Article 21 of the Constitution. Thereafter, another important provision in the above said act is that if the person is aggrieved, then he may approach before the court within 6 months. If the appeal is to be filed, he has to approach before the court within 30 days from the date of order, not from the date of order, from the date when they communicated the order passed by the concerned authority. This is the important provision in the above said act. If the concerned authority, government authority, has passed any act, any order, for example, MPCB, CPCB, or any authority, Impactment Assessment Authority Act, any authority has passed any order, and from the date of communication of that order, the aggrieved party has right to approach before the NJT within a month. So this act itself provides that no one should be denied their right for want of communication of the order. So this is most important thing in the above section. As we know that when I speak about section 14, then I have specifically mentioned that the tribunal shall have jurisdiction over all civil cases. It means that so far as the criminal case is concerned, this court cannot proceed ahead. But at the same time, if we peruse section 13 of the Act, it has been mentioned about the cognizance of offence. What it has been mentioned that no court shall take cognizance of any offence under this Act except upon a complaint made by the central government or any authority or officer authorized in the behalf by that government, or any person who has been given notice of not less than 60 days in such manner as may be prescribed of the alleged offence and of his intention to make a complaint to the central government or the authority or officer authorized as aforesaid. It means that if any report has been made by the concerned authority or any person, then that authority as well as such aggrieved person has right to file the complaint before whom subsection 2 has been enacted in section 13, before the metropolitan magistrate so far as the Mumbai is concerned, and so far as the other than Mumbai is concerned, judicial magistrate first class. So provision has been given if any act, wrongful act or wrongdoer act committed by the party or any authority, then the provision has been given to approach before the judicial magistrate first class or metropolitan magistrate in accordance with that section. So this is the provision which are helpful to the person if any act committed by the wrongdoer. But at the same time, if any act committed by the concerned authority or any employee or officer of the National Green Tribunal, and that act is in good faith, then no provision shall lie against that person. This is the settled principle. Section 38, because in the National Green Tribunal Act, 38 sections are there, and important section is 38, that is repeal and saving. So, as I earlier discussed that there was the National Green Tribunal Environmental Act 1995 and National Environmental Appellate Authority Act 1997 was there. But as soon as the National Green Tribunal Act 2010 came to be enforced, the above said act came to be repealed. And if the matter is pending prior to enforcement of National Green Tribunal Act 2010, then it should be dealt in accordance with the old act or earlier act. And if any after enforcement of National Green Tribunal Act 2010 and the matter appeal is pending before the concerned authority prior to enforcement is there, that appeal has to be transferred before the National Green Tribunal Act and should be dealt in accordance with the earlier provision, not as per this provision. So this has been given in article in section 38. So act is very small one and very easy to understand. Nowadays, as we know that due to pandemic situation on account of COVID-19, the physical restriction regarding filing of cases is there. So we are not going to accept physical filing. So online procedure is provided. If you go to the website of the National Green Tribunal, then you will get how to create a login ID by the individual or by the advocate, and procedure has been given. Then we have to register, we have to create our login ID, and then we may fill any application or appeal if you are aggrieved or anyone is aggrieved. So online procedure has been enacted in the National Green Tribunal Act, and the virtual hearing is going on at present. On account of pandemic situation, virtual hearing is going on regarding the matters which are registered and instituted before the National Green Tribunal, Western Zone Bench. So I think for today's seminar, this introductory or basic concept of the National Green Tribunal Act 2008 is sufficient to serve the purpose. If anyone wants to ask or explain anything about it, please may. I will try my level best to answer this query. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir, from briefing us from the basic initiation of NBT and area which we are looking forward. If I talk about the western part of India, that includes Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Goa, you have briefed it very well. That is very. Second thing is you have already briefed us about section 13, 14, 15, 16. Also, you have give insight of section 38 about the NBT. That's great learning, sir. So we'll proceed further for the question and answer. Dear friends, if you have any question and answer, you can just put in the chat box and we can take it in one-on-one questions with sir. Okay, there are some proceeding. Okay, sir. One question is there. Okay, one question is there. So we just want to understand the proceeding of NGT is done in English, Hindi, Marathi, yeah, any regional language. Yeah, it is compulsory test.
Sir, very good question. The proceeding normally it will be filed in English language because two languages are so far as because we are under the central government. NGT is under the central government, therefore proceeding may be in Hindi or English, but generally everyone prefer to file in English language because the judges are not concerned with the Hindi language. Here, now at present, the judicial member is from Chennai, so it is not possible for him to speak in Hindi or read in Hindi or other language except Tamil and English. So generally, people prefer to file in English language.
Okay, sir. Second is like if NGT take any action against if someone has used the sumoto action, so it is on environment issue. Yeah, sumoto is applicable. Yeah, we can take action on environment issue.
Sorry, I am able to.
Okay. Okay. Is NGT take a sumoto action against the environmental issue?
Normally not. Normally not. NGT may, but normally not. Because otherwise, what will happen tomorrow? Each one send the letter, one letter, and ask to take action. Then how it is possible for the NGT to take action on each and every? Sumoto. One matter is that's why I have already told that one incident was occurred before 5 to 6 days. I read in the paper regarding the death of 19 women in the factory. In that regard, our NGT has taken sumoto action.
Okay. And if our student like to go for internship, they want to do internship with NGT.
Internship is there, but at this juncture, the physical presence of the judicial member is not here. Therefore, it is very difficult. On arrival of the lordship or on arrival of the judicial and expert member, we will ask them. But we may, but it will be depend upon the liking of the honorable members.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay. You are in a base in Pune. So Pune is like if you say nature everywhere. You go in north, south, east, west, everywhere the nature is there. And we are a Punekar because all are the Punekar. So we feel it out. NGT will be play very good role in because Pune is having rivers and on that because you're also living in a Pune.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Some disturbance is there. Okay.
Okay. My network is unstable. Okay. So my question is because Pune is having much nature surrounding is there. So so as a NBT, how you fill it out? Like how it is like because the development is simultaneously going on. So how it will balance? Yeah, how the NBT will play a role to balance the nature also and the development of Pune cities, surroundings of Pune.
It's a very tricky question because though we are at Pune and bench is at Pune, but we are not only looking up towards Pune. We have to see entire Maharashtra along with the Gujarat and Goa.
Okay. Okay, sir. Why? Because NBT has taken very good, like if you see the cases like if you cases like benchmark like Vaishnav Devi, like signage zone in Amarnath. So they have taken a lot of good initiatives. Even also in Punjab, the NBT has also Punjab government NBT has said okay there is no like fire जहाँ पे होता है जैसे कि after खेती के बाद वो जलाते हैं उसके बाद air pollution होता है. So they take strict actions against them also. So that kind of initiative we like looking forward because we are also hearing and it's going on. So that's great, sir. That was very encouraging. So another part I want to ask you is like what the NGT is playing a role to awareness about people about this, about environmental. NGT कोई role play करता है या कोई awareness campaigning करता है?
What happened when I joined here in the year 2019, that is December 2019, and lockdown has been started since the month of March. You everyone know. Therefore, it was no occasion for me to do anything in regard to awareness of the NGT. But we can do it normally. If the situation is normal, then certainly we can do it.
Okay. Okay. There is one question from Pratiksha Sukar.
Yeah.
Sir, is this act is used to any environmental issue that are injured to any environmental matter? What happens?
Yeah, any environmental matter. This act deals with any environmental issue, environmental as well as forest issue. Because NGT comes under the NOEF, as I already stated, that Maharashtra Ministry of Environment and Forest Department. So any environmental issue arises, then certainly the NGT plays a role.
Okay, sir. Another question is like because you are also in past you are judge or the district judge is there. Now you are a registrar of NBT. So what is different between both position? Yeah, how you feel it?
Yeah, this is very good question because when we are working as a session judge or district judge or any magistrate or judge, then totally we are deciding the matter. That is judicial side, and now it is a totally administrative side. But when I earlier my introduction in the introductory part, the antecedent stated that I was in the High Court, Bombay High Court, being a deputy registrar. So I met with one of the lordship, that is Honorable R.C. Chavan. If you know, Lordship Honorable Chavan was there. He told me that when we can say that he is a good judge, when we can say that a person is a good judge. So I could not answer. So then he replied that a person who is having a judicial as well as administrative knowledge, then he can be treated as a good judge. So my point of view is concerned here. I get an opportunity to do the administrative work, so I will try my level best to become a good judge.
That's great, sir. That's really nice. Okay, dear students, you have any questions to us, sir? Okay, so students will write if in the chat box. Sir, anything you would like to specifically mention? Yeah, highlight something. Yeah, you want to give a message to us because we are also law students. So
I will say that if the any students now tomorrow's advocate, if they want to practice forever, in further or forever, then this National Green Tribunal or environmental is a very good opportunity to the advocates because at the juncture the strength of the advocates are 15 to 20 here in regard to the environmental. So they are very good an opportunity to practice in the particular era. Because when I joined here, being a registrar at that time, I was also not aware of this, what is the environmental issue and how the matter to be dealt with. All these things were there. But whenever I read the provisions and I saw the notification of the circular and government circular, then we can say that because here no provision of the CPC, no provision of the Indian Evidence Act are applicable. NGT has its own provisions. Though they are guided under the Civil Procedure Code, but it is not applicable as it is. So the working of the NGT as good as like a High Court. So everyone has good opportunity to, if they want to practice, then to prefer this era, that is NBT.
Okay. Okay, sir. Another is like question as a student, sir, can you please give some guidelines regarding environmental protection to our student? Yeah, what as an individual we should take as a responsibility? We make it sure our act, when we act, talk, it should not be disturbed.
We say that one should be vigilant in regard each and every era. What is going on besides where we are residing? We have to see that whether any environmental infringement is going on or not. If it is going on, then he may approach to the NGT. But however, as in accordance with the law, at the same time, he can, so far as the forest preservation is concerned, he can do something better to protect our environment.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. It was nice. Okay. So we are like getting a question on question. Till now, there is no much. Okay. Okay, sir. Because you briefed out in details and you discussed very friendly and guide us. So now I would like to take this session to another vote of thanks. So I would like to call Neha to take over this session for vote of thanks for today's session. Over to you, Neha.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, all of you. I am Neha Gadve, student of the Sir Senapati Hambirrao Mohite Law College. Now it is time to convey our gratitude, all of you. First of all, thank you, Mr. Suresh Rajurkar, sir. You are sharing very valuable and interesting thought with us in a very simple and easy manner. So, at the outset, on the behalf of the college organizing committee, I would like to express my provident gratitude to our principal, sir. You have been constant support and you have given us a lot of encouragement. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to extend my vote of thanks to IQAC coordinator, Professor Garud sir, and head of the Environment